So this is our final lesson, saving, investment, and wealth. I will try to discuss this very fast. Our quote of the day is from Will Rogers. And according to him, there have been three great inventions since the beginning of time: the fire, 火, the wheel, 轮子, and the central banking, yang, yin, hang. Okay, so those are the three great inventions since the beginning of time. Okay, so this is our topic, paying for a hidden empire. And our brief topic is about Amazon. So Amazon.com is the world's largest and most famous e-tailer. Millions of people routinely visit its website to buy almost everything from books to electronics, even pet supplies.
Amazon.com 是世界上最大和最著名的购物网站，数百万人经常访问其网站，购买几乎所有东西，从书籍到电子产品，甚至宠物用品。
Okay. So unlike traditional retailers, Amazon does not operate physical brick-and-mortar stores. Instead, the customer's interaction with the company is virtual. Just with the click of a mouse or a tap of your cell phone, the item will arrive at your doorstep within a few days.
亚马逊不经营实体店，而是客户与公司的互动是虚拟的，只需点击鼠标或手机顶部，商品将在几天内到达您家门口。
Amazon is by no means a virtual company existing only in cyberspace. Behind those convenient online transactions and deliveries lies a vast, if mostly hidden, physical empire of server farms handling the data and warehouses. In fact, that network of physical facilities is widely regarded as a key success factor in Amazon's growth.
亚马逊绝不是一家虚拟公司，只存在于网络空间中。在那些方便的在线交易和交付背后，是一个庞大而隐蔽的服务器农场的物理帝国，处理数据和仓库。事实上，物理设施网络被广泛认为是亚马逊增长的关键成功因素。
Okay. In particular, the warehouses. The warehouses, or Amazon calls them as fulfillment centers, which are close to major markets, contains a huge inventory of popular products, allows the firms to offer 1 or 2 day delivery of many items. With this superiority in distribution, some of you may have bought your textbook from Amazon, and it gives the company a big competitive advantage.
仓库或亚马逊称，它们为靠近主要市场的旅行中心，其中包含大量流行产品库存，使公司能够提供1到2天的交付许多标题，并在分销中消失您的茶。你们中的一些人可能已经从亚马逊购买了教科书，这给公司带来了巨大的竞争优势。
Equivalent of Amazon in China is, I think, Alibaba.
相当于亚马逊在中国的是我认为阿里巴巴。
We don't know exactly how much Amazon has spent to build this hidden physical empire, but that cost has surely run to many billions of dollars. Where did this money come from? Of course, not from the reinvestment of the company's profits. Amazon, which was founded in 1994, basically earned no profits, not until 2016. So it took Amazon from 1994 up to 2016 22 years before it even got its first ever profit. So how were they able to fund these physical assets?
从1994年到2016年，亚马逊花了22年的时间才获得有史以来的第一笔利润。那么，他们如何能够为这些实物资产提供资金？
However, the company was able to convince outside investors that it will eventually become highly profitable. And the prospect of future profits was enough to bring in large amounts of money from outside investors.
然而，该公司能够说服外部投资者，它最终将变得高利润，未来利润的前景足以从外部投资者那里获得大量资金。
Some of these investors bought equity. These are essentially shares in those expected future profits. What is unusual for a technology company like Amazon, but following the standard practice for many traditional companies, Amazon also moved early in its history to sell debt. They promised to pay the investors a fixed amount each year, regardless of whatever happens to the company. Naku, nawala. Okay. Usually for a technology company startup, you do not sell or promise to pay your investors guaranteed money. This is usually practiced in standard companies, but Amazon decided to take the risk and promise a fixed amount to investors annually. A fix.
通常对于一家科技公司初创公司，您不出售或承诺向投资者支付保证资金，这通常是标准公司的做法。但亚马逊决定承担风险，并承诺每年向投资者支付固定金额。
Okay. These moves were controversial at that time, but are now widely viewed as the reason for having given Amazon a crucial competitive advantage over their competitors who weren't able to make the same kind of investment in terms of physical plant, especially the warehouses.
这一举措在当时是有争议的，但现在被广泛认为是亚马逊相对于竞争对手具有关键竞争优势的原因。这些竞争对手能够在实体工厂，尤其是仓库方面进行同样的投资。
So that is the story of Amazon. Now we have here a picture depicting the difference between saving and investing. As you can see with the picture, when you are saving, you're just setting aside an amount of money.
正如您在保存您的预留和金额时所看到的图片。
But in investing, you are, of course, willing to put some money aside for future growth benefits.
但在投资时，你当然愿意为未来的增长利益留出一些钱。
These investments are predicted to grow in the long run.
从长远来看，这些投资预计将增长。
Okay. So now let's discuss wealth. 财富. So 什么是钱? What is money? We all use money in our transactions. We all use money for our day-to-day transactions. But what is money?
我们都用钱进行日常交易，但什么是钱？
Okay. What is money? So when we say that the person has a lot of money, we usually mean that he or she is wealthy. So let's say I see someone and I say, you have a lot of money. That means that person is wealthy.
你有很多钱，这意味着这个人很富有。
Okay. However, economists use the term money in a more specialized way. However, to an economist, money does not refer to all wealth, but only to one type of it. Money is the stock of assets that can be readily used to make transactions.
然而，对于一个经济体来说，货币并不是指所有好的东西，而只是一种类型的货币，是可以很容易的用于进行交易的资产存量。
Okay. So the available currency in the hands of the public make up the nation's stock of money. All the money that is in our hands is the total inventory of available currency.
我们手中的所有资金都是可用货币的总库存。
Now, what are the functions of money? First, it is a medium of exchange.
没有钱的功能是什么？首先，它是一种交换媒介。
As a medium of exchange, money can be used to buy goods or services.
作为交换媒介，货币可用于购买商品或服务。
This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. However, if there is no money, goods and services will have to be exchanged through the barter process.
该票据是所有公共和私人债务的法定货币，但是如果没有钱，商品和服务必须通过易货贸易过程进行交换。
Another function of money is that it is a unit of account. Money is the yardstick and the standard numerical unit with which we measure our economic transactions.
货币的另一个功能是，它是一个记账单位。货币是我们衡量经济交易的标准和标准数字单位。
So let's say you are going to order noodles at your favorite restaurant. Of course, you will have to pay, let's say, 10 renminbi. You're not going to pay them with other items. Probably you can use credit cards, or Alipay, or even cash itself. But the amount is specified as 10 renminbi. You cannot pay with 10 onions or 10 chickens, even if you want to. Nawala pala yung ano ko. Okay. Nawala yung... Okay. A store of value. Money is a way to transfer purchasing power from the present to the future. Even though it is not perfect, people hold money because they can trade it for goods and services at some time in the future. So here is the definition. There you go. Okay. I think that's good enough. Okay. So what happens when money does not exist? For example, there's no money in the world.
那么，当金钱不存在时会发生什么？例如，世界上没有人。
To better understand the functions of money, try to imagine an economy without it, a barter economy which permits only simple transactions. Permits.
为了更好地理解货币的功能，试着想象一个没有货币的经济，一个只允许简单交易的一伙经济。
Okay. In such a world, trade requires the double coincidence of wants, the unlikely happenstance of two people each having a good that the other wants at the right time and place to make an exchange.
在这样的世界贸易中，需要两个双重巧合的欲望。200个人，每个人都有一个好处，其他人在正确的时间和地点进行交换。
Okay. So money makes more complex transactions possible. In a modern economy, trade often involves many parties and is facilitated by the use of money. Money is necessary in order to ease the transactions that are happening every day.
金钱是必要的，以缓解每天发生的交易。
So the evolution of money. 货币的演变. Before money existed, people usually pay goods or services either by cow or gold. 在金钱存在之间，人们通常通过牛或黄金时付商品或服务。After gold, metal coins were minted. And then later, the Chinese have invented paper money.
在金属硬币铸造之后，后来中国人发明了纸币。
纸币, So even now, up to the present times, people are still using paper money. 直到现在，人们 仍在使用纸币. Okay? And then, after paper money, plastic cards or credit cards, as more known, began to be utilized. 制皮、塑料、卡货、信用卡被使用后，
纸币塑料卡或信用卡被使用后，
okay. And then we have what we now known as the electronic money. 电子货币. And now we're going to the we are now at the age of cryptocurrency. 我们现在正处于加密货币时代。
我们现在正处于加密货币时代。
Okay. So that is 这是evolution of money. This. It's not really an evolution. It's not just evolution. It's not just an evolution, but also the history of money. 这不仅是一种演变，也是货币的历史。Now, another topic is how is the quantity of money controlled?
如何控制货币数量？
Okay. The quantity of money available in an economy is called the money supply.
一个经济体中可用的货币数量被称为货币供应量。
Money supply or money stock is the total amount of money in circulation or in existence in a country at a given time.
货币供应量或货币存量是指在特定时间在一个国家流通或存在的货币总量。
Money supply impacts price levels, capital availability, inflation, and the overall business and economic cycle of a country.
货币供应量影响价格水平、资本可用性、通货膨胀以及一个国家的整体商业和经济周期。
Okay, there you go. In an economy that uses fiat money, such as most economies today, the government controls the money supply. Legal restrictions give the government a monopoly on the printing of money. Therefore, only the government is the allowed to print money. No other person or entity can do so.
在像今天大多数经济体这样使用法定货币的经济体中，政府控制着货币供应的法律限制，使政府垄断了印钞。因此，只有政府才被允许印钞票，其他任何人或实体都不能这样做。
Okay, so that is how money is controlled. Just as the levels of taxation and government purchases are policy instruments of the government, so is the quantity of money. The government's control over the money supply is called the monetary policy.
司法，政府购买的税收水平是政府的政策工具，因此政府对货币供应的控制被称为货币政策的货币数量。
Okay. Still have 4 minutes. Almost all countries in the world control their respective money supplies through their central banks. In the United States, it's the Federal Reserve Bank that controls the money. In China, it's the People's Bank of China that controls the money supply of the renminbi. Dinbinpei. Okay.
世界上几乎所有国家都控制着各自对美国中央银行的货币供应，控制着中国货币的联邦储备银行，控制着人民币供应的中国人民银行。
People's Bank of China. 中国人民银行, that's the one that controls the money, the renminbi or yuan, so to speak. The Chinese money supply in recent times has shown consistent growth. Along with its money supply, the Chinese gross domestic product or GDP has also increased in similar proportions.
近年来，中国的货币供应量随着货币供应量的持续增长，中国的国内生产总值 GDP 也有所增加，类似。
Okay. The relationship between China's currency and the economy is interesting because it's export dependent. Economic system works differently from that of the other countries. From 2010 to 2020, major reforms spearheaded by the government have increased China's market orientation and have opened up the economy.
"人民币与经济的关系很有趣，因为它的出口依赖型经济体系与2010年至20年政府带头的20项重大改革不同。这些改革增加了中国的市场。
Okay. Because money is the stock of assets used for transactions, the quantity of money is the quantity of those assets. In simple economics, this quantity is easy to measure.
因为货币是用于交易的资产存量，货币的数量就是这些资产的数量。在简单的经济学中，这个数量很容易衡量。
Because money is the stock of assets used for transactions, the quantity of money is the quantity of those assets. Okay. This publishing of local currency notes ensures that the foreign exchange rates remain fixed or in a tight range. It also ensures that Chinese exports remains cheaper and China maintains its edge as a manufacturing export-oriented economy. Above all, China tightly controls the foreign money coming into the country, which impacts its money supply.
本币的发行确保了外汇汇率保持固定或处于窄幅区间，这也确保了中国出口仍然更便宜。中国保持其作为制造业出口导向型经济体的优势。最重要的是，中国严格控制24合资金进入该国，这影响了其货币供应。
Okay. We can actually transact using various assets, such as cash in our wallets or deposits in our checking accounts.
我们实际上可以使用各种资产进行交易，例如钱包中的现金或支票账户中的存款。
The most obvious asset to include in the quantity of money is currency, the sum of outstanding paper money and coins. So I'll try to read this. 货币数量 OK 当然货币数量中最明显的资产是货币，其为偿还的纸币和硬币的总和。
货币数量中最明显的资产是货币，即为偿还的纸币和硬币的总和。
总和 OK。So how quantity of money is measured? A second type of asset used for transactions is demand deposits.
那么如何衡量货币的数量？用于交易的第二种资产是活期存款。
Okay. So a demand deposit is a bank account from which deposited funds can be withdrawn at any time without advance notice, provided that the money consumers need for cash and for daily expenses and purchases. There's something wrong. Provide. We're now talking about the demand deposit. Okay.
因此，活期存款是一个银行账户，存款资金可以随时提取，恕不另行通知，为消费者提供现金和日常开支和购买所需的资金。
活期存款 Okay. So now our topic here is how does China control its money supply?
中国如何控制货币供应？
So China uses a variety of methods to manage its money supply. Here are the principal methods being used. So one, you can either control the foreign exchange rates or forex, or you can use sterilization. Sterilization. Okay, I'm not sure if this is the correct Chinese word. The one that is used here is 灭菌.
灭菌
I think this is medical term, not the economics term. Huh? Okay. Sterilization. Okay. If I use Yandex, sterilization. The word is not the same.
消毒灭菌。
Okay. Or you can also use printing currency. Huh? You print currency when you need it. You don't if you do not need it. And last, the reserve ratio.
储备比率。
Another is the discount rate.
贴现率。
避现率. Okay. So this is the source, Investopedia. So for the first technique, which is controlling forex rates, one major task of the Chinese Central Bank, or the PBOC, is to absorb the large inflows of foreign capital from China's trade surplus.
对于第一种技术，这是控制外汇汇率。中国央行或中国人民银行的一项主要任务是吸收来自中国贸易顺差的大量外资流入。
Okay, so that one is the first one. Balik natin doon sa isa. Okay. The PBOC purchases the foreign currency from exporters and issues that currency in local renminbi currency. The PBOC is also free to publish any amount of local currency and have it exchanged for foreign exchange.
中国人民银行从出口商处购买外币，并以当地人民币发行该货币。中国人民银行也可自由公布任何数量的当地货币，并将其兑换成外汇。
The publishing of local currency notes ensures that foreign exchange rates remain fixed or in a tight range. It ensures that Chinese exports remain cheaper and China maintains its edge as a manufacturing export-oriented economy.
本币纸币的发行肯定是外汇汇率保持固定或处于窄幅范围内，其中的道德确保中国出口在中国保持更便宜，保持其作为制造业出口导向型经济体的优势。
Above all, China tightly controls the foreign money coming into the country, which also impacts its money supply. 哇，咁屌啊！
最重要的是，中国严格控制进入该国的外国资金，这也影响了其货币供应量。
Okay. So sterilization. Okay, I'll just explain the process because the wording might be wrong. China implements different sterilization actions. Sterilization refers to a monetary action that the PBOC takes to curb the impact on the money supply from the constant inflows and outflows of capital. The PBOC's actions, however, can create some adverse consequences. inflows and outflows.
我国实行不同的杀菌作用灭菌，是指源源不断的流入和流出，然而可能会产生一些不利的后果。
Okay. Sterilization still. So the bank increases the supply of local currency. The bank increases the supply of local currency in domestic markets, which increases the chance of high inflation.
该银行增加了国内市场本币的供应，这增加了高通胀的可能性。
To cut back on excess money supply, the PBOC sells the required amount of domestic currency bonds, which takes away the excess cash from open markets.
为了削减过剩的货币供应量，中国人民银行计算了所需的本国货币资金数量，这些资金从公开市场上拿走了多余的现金。
Okay. Also, the PBOC buys domestic currency bonds in order to infuse cash in the markets whenever necessary.
此外，国内货币债券的 bulk 在必要时向市场注入现金。
Okay. So printing currency is another measure applied by China. The PBOC can print yuan or renminbi as needed, although this can lead to high inflation. As already mentioned, it can lead to high inflation. However, China has tight state-dominated controls on its economy, which enables it to control inflation differently compared to other countries.
然而，中国对其经济有严格的国家主导控制，这使得它与其他国家相比，能够以不同的方式控制通货膨胀。
Changes are made to subsidies and other price control measures in order to check inflation.
对补贴和其他价格控制措施进行了修改，以遏制通货膨胀。
Okay. Now, for the reserve ratio, if commercial banks borrow additional money from central banks, they pay interest on the amount per applicable discount rate.
如果商业银行从中央银行借入额外资金，则根据每个适用贴现率的金额支付利息。
Central banks can change the discount rate to increase or decrease the cost of such borrowings, which eventually impacts the availability of money in the open markets. Changes in discount rates are widely followed across the globe to control the money supply. 中央银行可以改变这个国家，以增加或减少此类借款的成本，最终影响公开市场上的货币可用性。贴现率的变化在世界各地被广泛遵循，以控制货币供应量。 Okay. And the discount rate. For the discount rate, commercial banks are required to keep a percentage of their total deposit amount with the central bank of the country, which is known as the reserve ratio. If the central bank reduces the reserve ratio, commercial banks keep less money as a reserve and have more money available to increase the money supply, and vice versa.
对于贴现率，商业银行必须保留该国中央银行总存款金额的一定百分比。如果中央银行降低准备金率，商业银行保留较少的资金作为准备金，并有更多的资金可用于增加货币供应量，反之亦然。
Okay. Now, a new topic is saving and wealth.
一个新的话题是储蓄与财富。
储蓄与财富, saving and wealth. So this is a topic that everyone can relate. We all know that saving is important both to us individuals and also to nations. People need to save in order to provide for their retirement or for our future needs, such as the education of our children or a new home.
我们都知道，储蓄对于个人和人们需要储蓄的国家都很重要，以便为退休或我们未来的需求，例如我们孩子的教育或新家提供服务。
Yeah. An individual's or a family saving can also provide as a crucial buffer in the event of an economic emergency, such as the loss of a job or unexpected medical bills.
个人或家庭的储蓄还可以在发生经济紧急情况，如失业或意外医疗费用时提供重要的缓冲。
Okay. At the national level, the production of new capital goods like factories, equipment, and housing is an important factor promoting economic growth and higher living standards.
在国家一级，生产新的资本产品，如工厂设备和住房，是促进经济增长和提高生活水平的重要因素。
Okay. Why do people save money?
为什么人们省钱？
Okay. Why do people save part of their income instead of spending everything they earned? Economists have identified at least three broad reasons for saving money.
为什么人们节省部分收入而不是花费他们所获得的一切？经济学家已经确定了至少3个广泛的省钱理由。
Okay. Balik natin do sa ano. Sakit sa tenga. Okay. Here are the reasons. First is to meet certain long-term objectives, such as a comfortable retirement, which is also known as life cycle saving.
以下是原因：首先是为了实现某些长期目标，例如舒适的退休生活，也称为生命周期储蓄。
Another reason is to protect oneself and one's family against unexpected setbacks, like, for example, the loss of a job or a costly health problem, which is also known as precautionary spending.
另一个原因是保护自己和家人免受意想不到的挫折，例如工作法则或昂贵的健康问题，也称为预防性问题。
The final reason is to accumulate an estate to leave to one's heirs, usually one's children, but possibly a favorite charity or other worthy cause, which is also known as bequest saving. Okay.
最后一个原因是积累遗产留给自己的继承人，通常是自己的孩子，但可能是最喜欢的慈善机构或其他有价值的事业，也称为遗赠储蓄。
Okay. So these are the three reasons as to why people save money.
这是人们为什么省钱的3个原因。
I think this is one of the few slides left. So saving, self-control, and demonstration effects. The reasons for saving we just discussed are based on the notion that people are rational decision makers who will choose their saving rates to maximize their welfare over the long run.
我们刚才讨论的储蓄原因基于这样一种观念，即人们是理性的决策者，他们会选择他们的储蓄率，以长期最大化他们的福利。
Okay. However, many psychologists and even economists have argued instead that people's saving behavior is based as much on psychological as on economic factors.
然而，许多心理学家甚至经济学家都认为，人们的储蓄行为既基于心理因素，也基于经济因素。
This is another branch of economics called behavioral economics.
这是经济学的另一个分支，称为行为经济学。
Okay. For example, psychologists stress that many people lack the self-control to do what they know is in their own best interest.
为什么粒子心理学是一种压力？许多人缺乏自我控制力来做他们知道符合自己最佳利益的事情。
不是为什么，这是例如啊，对不起。So one way to strengthen, ay, bigyaw le. Oh. Okay. So one way to strengthen self-control is to remove temptations from the immediate environment. So here. Okay. An implication of the self-control hypothesis is that Consumer credit arrangements that make borrowing and spending easier may reduce the amount that people save.
自我控制假说的一个含义是，使借贷更容易的消费信贷安排可能会减少人们的储蓄金额。
Okay. The implication of demonstration effects for saving is that families who live among others who consume more than they do may be strongly motivated to increase their own consumption spending.
储蓄示范效应的含义是，生活在消费超过其他消费水平的家庭中，可能强烈的有动力增加自己的消费支出。
When satisfaction depends in part on relative living standards, an upward spiral may cause in which household spending is higher and saving lower than will be best for either the individual families involved or for the economy.
当满意度部分取决于相对生活水平时，螺旋式上升使家庭支出较高，而储蓄低于对所涉及的单个家庭或经济最有利的依附。
Okay. So this is a new topic. Financial system. 金融体系。
金融体系。
Financial markets are where households invest their current and accumulated savings. A household wealth is the value of its accumulated savings.
金融市场是值得家庭投资他们当前和累积的储蓄，一个家庭财富是其累积储蓄的价值。
A financial asset. A financial asset is a paper claim that entitles the buyer to future income from the seller.
金融资产是一种纸面债权，使买方有权从卖方获得未来收入。
Okay. A household can also invest its current savings or wealth by purchasing a physical asset, which is a tangible object that can be used to generate future income, such as pre-existing house or a pre-existing piece of equipment. Purchasing a physical asset gives the owner the right to dispose of the object whenever he or she wishes.
家庭还可以通过购买实物资产来投资其珍珠储蓄或财富。实物资产是可用于产生未来收入的有形物品，例如预先存在的房屋或预先存在的设备。购买实物资产，使所有者有权随时处置该物品。
Recall that the purchase of a financial or physical asset is typically called investing.
回顾购买金融或实物资产。
Wrong. 回想一下，购买金融或实物资产通常被称为投资。
回想一下，购买金融或实物资产通常被称为投资。
投资。 So in contrast, if you spend funds that add to the stock of physical capital in the economy, say purchasing a newly manufactured airplane, you are engaging in investment spending. Investing is, sorry. Spending.
投资支出，
投资支出 So this one we're about to finish. A loan is one important kind of financial asset in the real world, one that is owned by the lender, in this case, your local bank. In creating that loan, you and the bank are also creating a liability, a requirement to pay income in the future.
单独是现实世界中一种重要的金融资产。在这种情况下，贷款人拥有。在这种情况下，您当地的银行在创建贷款时，您和银行也会产生负担或要求在未来支付收入。
Okay. In addition to loans, there are three other kinds of financial assets: stocks, bonds, and bank deposits. Because a financial asset is a claim to future income that someone has to pay, it is also someone else's liability.
除了贷款之外，还有另外3种金融资产：股票、债券和银行存款。因为金融资产是某人必须支付的未来收入的债权，也是其他人的责任。
Okay. These 4 types of financial assets, loans, stocks, bonds, and bank deposits, exist because the economy has developed a set of specialized markets like the stock market and the bond market, and specialized institutions like banks that facilitate the flow of funds from lenders to borrowers.
这4种类型的金融资产——贷款、股票、债券和银行存款之所以存在，是因为经济已经发展了一套专门的市场，如股票市场和债券市场，以及银行等专业机构。这些机构促进了资金从贷款人流向借款人。
Okay. Taken together, these institutions and markets are known as the financial system.
总而言之，这些机构和市场被称为金融体系。
Okay. A well-functioning financial system is a critical ingredient in achieving long-run growth because it encourages greater savings and investment spending.
运转良好的金融体系是实现长期增长的关键因素，因为它鼓励创造者储蓄和投资支出。
It also ensures that savings and investment spending are undertaken efficiently.
它还确保储蓄和投资支出得以实施。
To understand how this occurs, we first need to know what tasks the financial system needs to accomplish, and then we can see how the job gets done.
要了解这是如何发生的，我们首先需要知道金融系统需要完成哪些任务，然后我们可以看到工作是如何完成的。
The three tasks of a financial system are to reduce these problems in a cost-effective way that enhances the efficiency of financial markets and make it more likely that lenders and borrowers will make mutually beneficial trades that will make society as a whole richer.
金融体系的3个任务是以成本效益的方式减少这些问题，从而提高金融市场的效率，并使贷款人和借款人更有可能使你真正有益的特征，使整个社会更富。
Okay, so task 1 is reducing the transaction cost. Task 2 is reducing risk. And task 3 is providing liquidity. So for task 1, the focus is transaction costs. So transaction costs are the expense of negotiating and executing a deal.
交易成本或谈判和执行交易的费用。
Okay. For task 2, another problem that real-world borrowers and lenders face is financial risk. The uncertainty about future outcomes that involve financial losses or gains.
借款人和贷款人面临的另一个问题是金融风险，涉及财务损失或收益的未来结果的不确定性。
Financial risk, or simply risk, is a problem because the future is uncertain, containing the potential for losses and as well as gains. Okay, there you go.
财务风险或仅仅是风险是一个问题，因为未来是不确定的，既有潜在的损失，也有收益。
Okay. A person who is more sensitive to a loss than to a gain of an equal dollar amount is called risk averse. Most people are risk averse, although to differing degrees. For example, people who are wealthy are typically less risk averse than those who are not so well off.
对损失比对等额收益更敏感的人被称为风险规避。大多数人都厌恶风险，尽管程度不同。例如，富有的人通常比那些不那么富裕的人更不厌恶风险。
So an individual can engage in diversification by investing in several different assets so that the possible losses are independent events. Diversifying your investments will help you in the long run to cut losses in some other
从长远来看，分散投资将有助于您减少损失。
Okay. For task 3, which is providing liquidity, the financial system also exists to provide investors with liquidity, a concern that, like risk, arises because the future is uncertain.
对于提供流动性的任务3，金融体系的存在也是为了向投资者提供流动性，因为未来不确定，因此风险也会出现。
An asset is liquid if it can be quickly converted into cash with relatively little loss of value, illiquid if it cannot.
如果资产可以快速转换为现金，并且价值损失相对较小， 则该资产是流动的，如果不能。
Okay. So types of financial assets. Types of financial assets include loans, bonds, default, loan-backed security, loan back, okay.
金融资产的类型包括贷款、债券、违约、贷款担保。
Indicated here in this page are the definitions of each type of financial assets.
本页此处所示为每种类型的金融资产的定义。
Okay. Okay. A stock is a share in the ownership of a company held by a shareholder.
股票是股东持有的公司所有权的股份。
For the financial intermediaries, we have the mutual fund, pension fund, life insurance policy, and the bank.
对于金融中介机构，我们有共同基金、养老基金、人寿保险单和银行。
A mutual fund is a financial intermediary that creates a stock portfolio and then resells shares of this portfolio to individual investors.
共同基金是一种金融中介机构，它创建股票投资组合，然后将该投资组合的股票转售给个人投资者。
On the other hand, a pension fund is a type of mutual fund that holds assets in order to provide retirement income to its members.
另一方面，养老基金是一种共同基金，持有资产以为其成员提供退休收入。
A life insurance company sells policies that guarantee a payment to a policyholder's beneficiary when the policyholder dies.
人寿保险公司销售的保单保证，在保单持有人去世时，向保单持有人受益人付款。
A bank is an institution that helps resolve the conflict between lenders' needs for liquidity and the financing needs of borrowers who don't want to use the stock or bond markets.
银行是一种帮助解决贷方需求或流动性与不想使用股票或债券市场的借款人的融资需求之间的冲突的机构。
So a bank works by first accepting funds from depositors. The bank must first accept funds from its depositors.
银行必须首先接受其存款人的资金。
When you put your money in a bank, you are essentially becoming a lender by lending the bank your money. In return, you receive credit for a bank deposit, a claim on the bank, which is obliged to give you your cash if and when you demand it.
当您将钱存入银行时，您基本上是通过借钱给银行而成为贷方，然后返回您获得银行存款的信贷。该银行要求银行在银行提出要求时，银行有义务为您提供现金。
Okay. A bank deposit is a financial asset owned by the depositor and a liability of the bank that holds it.
银行存款是存款人拥有的金融资产，以及持有该存款的银行的可靠性。
And that is it. And look like congratulations to all of you. Please submit your case study in both PowerPoint, which you will be presenting tomorrow, and in Microsoft Word document.
讲座结束，恭喜大家！请在明天将要展示的 PPT 和 Microsoft Word 文档中提交您的案例研究。
Okay. For the PowerPoint presentation tomorrow, you can assign one member of your group to speak in English, to present the entire presentation in English, or all of you can speak in English.
对于明天的 PPT 演示，您可以分配小组中的一名成员用英语进行演示，以英语演示整个演示文稿，或者所有人都可以用英语进行演示。
For those who are saying that they cannot speak in English, I will say one thing to all of you. Practice makes perfect.
对于那些说他们不会说英语的人，我会对你们说一件事：你们所有人的练习都变得完美。
Okay. 在 okay. Okay. So it's my turn to speak in Mandarin. 普通话。对于那 Okay. Even I am not that good in Mandarin, but I'm trying my best. 对于那些说他们不会说英语的人，我会对你们说一件事：你们所有人的练习都变得完美。I speak in English tomorrow. If you can speak in Mandarin as well as English, you can pretty much communicate. You can with 75% of the world's population. OK，如果你能用普通话和英语说话，你可以与世界上75% 的人有
如果你能用普通话和英语说话，你可以与世界上75%的人流。
Okay, so with that, stop share. Can we take our photo? Please turn on your camera. 请打开相机。We will start at 6 p.m. tomorrow night.
我们将在明晚下午6点开始。
Okay, Terry and Chen, can you open your camera? If not, okay, okay. 我们现在有11的学生。Okay, out at the count of 10. Okay. Oh. Very cold in China. 中国很冷。1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, 谢谢。Oh, it's very cold there. We meet tomorrow 6点。6 o'clock.
6点。
6 p.m. because I have a class as a student. I am a PhD student at 8:30.
6点 PM， 因为我有一门课作为学生，我是8点30分的博士生。
Okay, so I study doctoral study. Same as DBA. Okay, 谢谢。晚上好 ，Good night. 谢谢。
老师。
Thank you. Good night.